Diabelska Petla, or Devil's Loop, is the double looping coaster Legendia in Poland. Built by Soquet, this coaster has a relatively simple layout, but it features a few backward seats, and the ride has an interesting history at both Legendia and a few other destinations. Most notably, this coaster may have the record for having the most different names of any attraction. So in this video, I will be reviewing Diabelska Petla. Soquet has been manufacturing coasters since the early 1980s. Most of their coasters have been junior or family coasters, but they have manufactured a handful of thrill coasters. Their first looping coaster was Colossus, which opened on the French Fair circuit in 1983, but this coaster was better known for its decade of operation as Seabreeze, where it operated as the Quantum Loop. Soquet's biggest looping coaster opened in 1988 at Lightwater Valley in the United Kingdom. Known as the Super Lupa, this coaster stood 66 feet, or 20 meters tall, hit a top speed of 44 miles per hour, or 70 kilometers per hour, and featured two vertical loops back to back. But most notably, it also featured two backward seats in the back car. This coaster would operate at Lightwater Valley through the 1994 season. At that point, Lightwater Valley sold the coaster back to Soquet, who then sold it to another English theme park known as the American Adventure. This coaster would operate at the American Adventure from 1995 through 2006, but it had an identity crisis there. In its decade of operation at this theme park, this coaster would have a whopping 5 different names. The coaster opened as Iron Wolf in 1995 before being renamed Gladiators in 1996. But due to a copyright issue, the coaster was renamed Skylooper for the 1997 and 1998 season. The ride was again renamed as Twin Looper from 1999 to 2002. Then for the 2003 and 2004 season, the ride's name was expanded to the JCB Twin Looper as part of a sponsorship, but that deal ended after just 2 seasons, and the coaster was reverted back to just Twin Looper yet again. American Adventure closed after the 2006 season. 4 of the park's 5 roller coasters would receive new homes, including the Twin Looper. The coaster would be reassembled at Legendia for the 2007 season, and yet again, this coaster would have an identity crisis. The coaster opened as the Tic-Tac Tornado, but sometime around 2011 or 2012, the name was shortened to just Tornado. Then in 2019, the coaster was renamed Diabelska Petla, or Devil's Loop, and given a witch's cauldron and coal mine theme. So in total, this coaster's had 9 different names at 3 different homes. If you know a coaster that's had more names, definitely let me know down in the comments. The recent retheme was accompanied by a fresh coat of speckled, bright green paint on the signature loops. Oddly, the rest of the coaster has a rather drab and grayish appearance. It's an unconventional choice, but it really highlights the loops, which I think was the intent. The retheme also gave this coaster a covered station, after it previously was a rare major coaster operating without one. I visited Legendia on a summer weekend, yet Diabelska Petla was a complete walk-on, and that seems to be the case for most people who visit this Polish park. The coaster only has one train in use nowadays that seats 24 riders across 6 cars. Each car seats 4 guests. The first 5 cars have all the guests facing forwards, but the back car has riders facing each other. The forces were identical whether you rode in the front, back, or middle, but I had a preference for the backwards facing seats for the unique experience and extra disorientation. This coaster is an odd set of over-the-shoulder restraints. The harnesses consist of 2 hard bars that go over your shoulders, and those connect to a metal bar that runs across your lap. Except that bar will rest several inches above the lap of most riders. It's positioned at the height of a buzz bar. With how much freedom your lower body has, it would be amazing if this coaster had airtime. But spoiler alert, it does not. Diabelska Petla begins with a painstakingly slow lift hill. After you reach the top, you navigate this wide, twisting drop. It's too gradual to offer any airtime or whip, but if you are in the back car, you will get a tiny pinch of laterals at the start of the descent. This drop is not overly thrilling, and it basically just gets you up to speed. That's followed by the lone highlight of the ride, the back-to-back vertical loops. These inversions look and feel like the vertical loops found on Schwarzkopf coasters. Both loops had very strong and sustained positive Gs, and I always started to gray out during the second one. This was extra crazy if you were in those backwards facing seats, because the gray out would mess with your sense of direction. If you have ridden a boomerang, you know how disorienting a forceful backwards loop is. Now imagine taking two of those loops back to back, and that's basically what you get in Diabelska Petla. Now unfortunately, this coaster dies at this point. The coaster then navigates this slow and weirdly profiled double helix. The element wasn't fast enough nor compact enough to offer any positive Gs or laterals. It just felt like a filler element to pad this coaster's runtime. You then cruise into the brake run, ending the experience. And one interesting tidbit is that this coaster only features right-hand turns, with the exception of the subtle kink to the left as you head back into the station. One thing I was fearful of would be how rough Diabelska Petla would be, given that this coaster has been relocated not once, but twice. There was some rattling at the base of the first drop and during the helix, but it never translated to headbanging for me, so it wasn't anything more than a minor nuisance. So what would I rate Diabelska Petla? I would give this odd looping coaster a 5 out of 10. Pretty much all those points are for those forceful loops. The positive Gs are very strong, and they're extra sweet in those backwards facing seats. I definitely wish that first drop and the helix at the end of the ride had more power to them, because I only rode this coaster for those two loops, but again, those two loops were fantastic. Since this coaster recently got repainted and rethemed, I imagine it will be sticking around Legendia for a while, and who knows if it will be renamed again given its history. Now it goes without saying that Leg Coaster is easily the far superior coaster for thrill seekers when you visit this park, but Diabelska Petla is a solid first looping coaster because it's relatively short and it offers a mild experience around those two inversions. And if you do want an added thrill, you can experience this coaster in those backwards facing seats. So those are my thoughts on Diabelska Petla, the Soquet looping coaster at Legendia. What are your thoughts on this frequently renamed coaster? Do you think this looks like a fun ride? I would love to hear your thoughts about this attraction down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.